Praise the Lord. Today we are going to continue our study on the book of 3rd John. Last time when we met online, we looked at verse 1 to verse 8, and we talked about Gaius entertaining or rather welcoming the believers who had come from John's church and visited them. We are now going to look at one person who is there in the congregation of Gaius Church. I wouldn't address him as a church member, and I wouldn't look at this person that we're going to talk about as a true believer, whereas he is there in that church. Now let's remember one thing here. Just because a person is in a congregation, it doesn't mean that he fits into that congregation, or it doesn't mean that he is a member of that congregation. Now, why do I say this? We will look at this character in this book. We'll look from verse 9 and 10. This person's name is Diotrephes, and let's look at a few things that John writes about Diotrephes in this passage. Verse 9: I have written something to the church, but Diotrephes, here is where this person is introduced. Two things are there in this verse. Number one, he who likes to put himself first. This is something that characterizes Diotrephes. Now, what is so wrong about this? Who is self-glorifying? This person is self-glorifying. This person is self-exalting, and he is a selfishly preeminent person, or is selfish in trying to be preeminent. That's the right word to put it. This is one characteristic that you find about Diotrephes in this letter, and if we look at this, it was something that is reminiscent or similarity to how the disciples were while Christ was on earth at a point of time. We should always remember that the disciples always argued about who will be the greatest, and Peter and John, ironically it is John who is writing this. Now, back then, when he didn't have a full grasp about the message of the cross and everything everything like that, John at that time was selfish in trying to be preeminent. So this was one sin that John had encountered prior to his coming to faith, prior to being a believer, and that same thing now is found in Diotrephes. So he is a person who likes to put himself first, selfish ambition, and seeking greatness through worldly means. So this is the thing that he's doing. That's number one. Number two, he does not acknowledge the authority of the apostles. So that's what we read in verse 9. Diotrephes, who likes to put himself first, does not acknowledge our authority. So in his pursuit to become preeminent, he does everything to withstand the apostolic authority that is there in John, and with those who are together with him. So Diotrephes is somebody who is selfish in his pursuit of position, and Diotrephes is somebody who is against the apostolic authority. So what is John's course of action when we read this passage? Verse 10. So if I come, I will bring up what he is doing, talking wicked nonsense against us. So apostolic authority is being rejected and fought against, and the other thing that he is doing, he is talking wicked nonsense against the apostles. So he is wicked. This is why I said at the beginning, this person might be somebody who is in the congregation of the church that Gaius is a part of, but Diotrephes doesn't belong to the church as far as God is concerned, because his actions are totally against the congregation that belongs to God. So apostolic authority is being rejected, slander is being said, selfish pursuit of position and power. And what is the next thing that we read about Diotrephes here? And not content with that. So he is not content with all the things that he has done. The next thing he's doing is he refuses to welcome the brothers. So he is vehemently against any itinerant person who has come for the sake of the name of God. He is vehemently against. So he is a person who is against the apostles, and he is a person who is against the brothers who come from outside. And what he does is he himself doesn't welcome them, and he stops those who want to welcome them. Now, apparently Gaius has been somebody who has withstood the pressures that Diotrephes has brought. There were others who wanted to welcome these brothers, but Diotrephes is a chief manipulator. So one thing I realized from this passage about Diotrephes is he is not just an ordinary person who has come there. He is somebody who has some sort of an influence there in the crowd, and he has got an influence that is big enough to actually stop some people from not welcoming brothers, and he has got the so-called power to put them out of church. So he is somebody who exercises church discipline for issues that are not found in scriptures. For example, he doesn't throw people out because of sin. He throws them out because they don't match up with him. So this is what Diotrephes is all about. So how in the world can we consider him as a believer? Seeing this person. Okay, this is what John says. So if I come, I will bring up what he's doing. Such people should be evidenced before others. Such people should be shown before others, called out before others. We cannot bear with them and continue excusing them for their anti-Christian behavior. And the exhortation to the other believers and Gaius in verse 11: Beloved, do not imitate evil but imitate good. Now, chances for people in the human nature is to be imitators of evil. I mean, all of us want to imitate the bad that we see, not the good that we see. John says in verse 11, whoever does good is from God. Whoever does evil has not seen God. So if Diotrephes is somebody who is speaking wicked nonsense against the apostles, who is selfish in his pursuit of greatness, who is showing zero hospitality to people and stops people from doing good, and puts those who do good out of the church, that person cannot be from God. That's what is very clear in verse 11. He who does evil has not seen God. So Diotrephes may have an external connection with God, but he surely doesn't have a true abiding relationship with God. Moving on to verse 12, we have one more character that John talks about, and that is Demetrius. Demetrius has received a good testimony from everyone and from the truth itself. We also add our testimony, and you know that our testimony is true. So Demetrius doesn't have much of descriptions given in this passage, but we know that Demetrius has a good testimony from everyone in the church, and he is somebody who holds fast to the truth of the gospel. Now, having said all of that, we come to the final greetings in verse 13 to 15, where John and his co-writers or co-believers greet the friends, and that's where the letter ends. So with that, we are done with 3rd John. Next time when we meet, we will look at another letter of the general epistles category. May God's name be praised.